12:32. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Maryam Mkwanda. We shed the spotlight on men's mental health and well-being by introducing Movember with Islamic Care line. And we all know too well that raising a child in a two-parent household is tough. Raising a child solo is a whole different ball game. Single mothers get more support than single fathers, and not much is being done for single fathers. So, as we wrap up Movember month, we are shedding the spotlight on single fathers and the support we can give to them. And joining me right now is the Chief Social Worker of Islamic Care line, Anisa Moosa, to tell us more. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Anisa, shukran for joining me.
Walaikum salam to you, Sister Maryam, and to all the listeners this afternoon. Jazakallah for having me on the program. Like you mentioned, I think it's a very relevant topic. I think we also give a lot of emphasis to single moms, but fathers also struggle with single parenting. We look at some of the ways that they struggle and, during the course of the program. Jazakallah.
Alhamdulillah. Now, yes, let's start there. Let's start with the challenges that single fathers face. And are these challenges similar to those of single mothers?
I think some would be similar and some would be different. Like you mentioned, single parenting in itself is a challenge for even couples working together to try to raise their children in the best way that they can. There's so many challenges around parenting. Children are going through so many emotional stuff. It's hard to balance the marital, the work, the life stresses with parenting, understanding your children. But when it comes to single parenting, I think it adds another dimension. And I think when we look at that for men particular and for moms, balancing the work and the parenting roles at home. I think men who are in mainstream employment struggle with that. And sometimes there's an absence of female support structures, the nurturing element, the caregiving element. Alhamdulillah, some fathers try really hard, even in the absence of such support systems, to try and fill that void. I think, and that's what it's about when you're single parenting. You have to try and fulfill both roles of both parents when the other is absent, although sometimes they share the residence. But I think one parent at one given time has to fulfill both roles in the absence of the other. And then I think also when it comes to rights of a father, usually how it's worked is that mums, in most cases, would be the place where the child's primary residence is, and fathers sometimes share in that. They don't often get as much time with their children as they would like. Sometimes it's logistical stuff where, like I said, because they're working or because there's an absence of support structures, usually when there's a marital breakdown, it's adjusting to the time being shared, I think. And also, again, it's centered around logistical stuff and other responsibilities. Then, when we spoke about the emphasis given to single moms and not enough to single fathers, we speak about paternity leave or paternity issues. So, again, there tends to be a little bit more. I wouldn't say importance or attention given to the mum's needs around her parenting responsibilities, but also recognizing that fathers also need time off or time out to be able to take care of his children's needs. Then the other thing is also there's, I think, grants and that kind of thing is not, again, something that lots of men enjoy. It's more the more mums are often looked at as the ones who require financial assistance or support when it comes to raising children. In fact, men are expected to pay maintenance, and also that's the one thing that we need to remember is that being able to have a relationship with your child and paying maintenance are two separate issues, and one is not related to the other. So I know we some men are not paying maintenance. It's not encouraged. Look, we all have a responsibility. Fathers have a responsibility to provide for their children, and that is something that they cannot ignore or neglect. But it doesn't mean that because a father is not paying maintenance, he doesn't have a right to see his child. Because at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is the best interest of the children, child or children, and having relationships with both parents, irrespective of what the other dynamics are, needs to be focused on.
Mhm.
And then also, like I said, I mentioned some of the legal implications. So that would be maintenance versus the whole parenting plan, visiting, spending time with each parent. And then we talk about what we call the father wounds. So sometimes the spin-offs from marital breakdown has an impact on your single parental role that needs to be fixed. People need to heal from their marital relationships, the conflict that results from that, and some that sometimes has an effect on the co-parenting roles of each parent in their relationship as co-parents. And that again, I mentioned the best interest of the child, and often when that happens, even again, you find that the children are the ones that are on the receiving end of conflict that hasn't been resolved after marital breakdown, and also failure or difficulty adjusting. And then the other thing is the distance from your child. So if the primary residence, if a mom is staying in one province and father is staying in another province, another city, access to the child, that kind of thing. So logistical stuff again can play a big part.
Mhm. All right. Now, obviously, we know that South Africa has a situation of a lot of single mothers. The numbers are ever increasing, and many children are raised without their fathers. And you do find that there are fathers out there who want to be part of their children's lives, but unfortunately, their mothers stand in the way of having them access or giving them access to their child. And unfortunately, the mother is the primary caregiver, and most of the rights go to her. But in such a situation, what can the father do, and where can he get support?
Okay, so I would advise from the onset that when there's an issue around the children, I know that people avoid legal processes because they look at it as either expensive, inaccessible, or it could. For them, the connotation with legal processes is okay. There's often a negative connotation. It's making it unpleasant, but I encourage couples when the marriage breaks down to try and sit down together or have the process mediated and try to draw up a parenting plan. And you can have it made an order of the court. Something like that is good for both parties and for the children because I think then there's some structure, gives the children. Remember that when a marriage breaks down, children are struggling to adjust a great deal. They sometimes, depending on the developmental stage of the child, they may or may not understand the reasons for the marital breakdown. They maybe even may know too much on the flip side. And so they also going through their own adjustment. So we also want to try and make it as easy as possible. So what the parenting plan does for them is it puts into place a little bit of routine, a little bit of structure for them. And then also I think both co-parents learn to respect each other's rights and their responsibilities. And then it's not something that's hard and fast. So if it's mediated, it can be re-looked at and negotiated. Because remember that after a marriage breaks down, there's a lot of changes that can take place. So there's changes in the residence, there could be changes in relationships. There's also changes in overall dynamics, maybe changes of employment. Maybe a mom needs to start to work. There could be the introduction of third or fourth people when we look at remarriage later on. So, like I said, I would encourage that co-parents look at having a parenting plan drawn up through a mediation process, because even courts are encouraging mediation processes because it's the least conflictual. It takes each party's different needs or circumstances into consideration. It can be negotiated, and it's more amicable overall, and it can be re-looked at later on. Also, the parenting plan is something that's detailed. It can look at things like holidays, public holidays, birthdays, weekends, even around decision making, residence, so people know where they stand. And also what happens is that when things change, so today when we get divorced, maybe there's a lot of conflict. Or let's say, for example, we say, okay, fine, we got divorced, but for the interest of the children, it's okay. The father can come home. He can come every day. Tomorrow, I might decide, that's not working for me. It's inconvenient. That doesn't work for me. So again, it's nice to put something into place again for the interests of the children, right? So, okay, that's the one thing, right? And then also in relation to, if, for example, any parent, whether it's the father or the mother, who feels that they're not getting, their rights are being compromised, they can go to the family advocates. People often go to lawyers, depending on what your financial resources are. You could even go to the family advocates. Look, processes, these kind of things are not, people need to understand that it's not something they will just go in and things are going to fall into place. You're going to go, you might have to wait in queues, you might have to wait for availability for an appointment. But I think the idea is that you do have recourse. You can go to family advocates. They will call both parties in. They will see the circumstances. If they need to do assessments with the children, they would do that. And also, what could happen is that children could be phased into things. So, if the relationship with one of the parents is broken down for whatever reason, or a child hasn't seen one of the parents for a long time, they would phase it in. So remember that the court system is also encouraging what we relationships with both parents. So you very seldom would get an instance where one parent is denied complete. There must be very, very extenuating circumstances for that to happen. Most of the time, the court would support relationships with both parents, even, like I said, even if it's phased in. So let's say, for example, you could start with a 1 hour every week, maybe even supervised if need be. There's reason to believe there's some kind of threat to the child or to the children. And then later on, it would be increased if the court is satisfied, or if you have a social worker present, supervised visits, or they're going for counseling or some kind of therapeutic process, and the therapists or counselors are happy with the progress. So I think what I'm saying is that you can use government structures like family advocates, the maintenance court, to put things into place for you. You can seek assistance. It is a process. It can sometimes get frustrating. It can sometimes take longer than you hope, but it's well worth it for the interests of the children. I don't know if that answers your question, Sister Maryam. Is there anything in particular
Yes.
that you want, that you would like to focus on or ask?
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, I'd like to focus on the support in general that single fathers can get, since we do have a lot of support for single mothers. So let us take a quick break and we will continue thereafter.
Okay. Jazakallah.
Is having a devastating global impact on health and livelihoods. Islamic Relief is at the forefront, providing clean and safe water to vulnerable communities around the world. Our tailored approach to sustainable water solutions enable families not just to survive, but to thrive, ensuring they stay healthy and safe. Give water, give life with Islamic Relief.
These days, I'm more health conscious than ever. So tonight it's stir fry for dinner, cooked in healthy Helios pure sunflower cooking oil. Helios is pure sunflower goodness, packed with omega-6. That's good for your heart. and is approved as part of the Heart and Stroke Foundation eating plan.
Dinner's ready!
Helios, pure sunflower cooking oil. A healthy family is a happy one.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman, so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Reliable access to clean water could save thousands of lives each day. With proper sanitation and easy access to fresh, clean water, communities can flourish. Our Thirst Relief Appeal provides clean water to communities in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East by building deep wells and providing sustainable water and hygiene solutions. A monthly donation of as little as 700 Rand could build a well for a community in need. That's only 23 Rand a day. Donate today, www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 11 00 573. Penny Appeal, small change, big difference.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.
لا تقل لوحدي أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Whether it's physical support, mental support, or financial support, women tend to get this more when they are single parents compared to fathers. We are talking about single parents, or rather fathers being single parents, single fatherhood, and the support that they can get and that we can also give as the community with Chief Social Worker of Islamic Care line, Anisa Moosa. Anisa, shukran for staying with us now. What support is available for men? Are there any support groups available as well? Support groups, financial support, mental support. What is available?
Okay, so I think the same supports that are available to women are available to men. I think the only thing is, I think more attention is perhaps given to the one, right? And I think maybe the understanding, and I think that's based on stereotypical or how we talk about the gender differences or the way we socialize and that. But if you look at support structures, I think the biggest support structure is the extended family or even from like households. So we males have, let's say, female family members or even someone at home that's there to help out with the children. That helps a great deal. So again, the emphasis on extended family support is very, very great, especially where men are in mainstream employment. I think with females, there tend to be sometimes flexibility around employment. People tend to be a little bit more understanding that somebody's a single mom. Not always the case. I think the one thing around COVID that has helped a little bit is more people are working from home, so that it has its challenges as well. But I think in terms of flexibility, that could be a positive. The other is when it comes to therapeutic intervention, and like particularly the Islamic Care line does a lot of play therapy for children. But I think the understanding there has to be that play therapy is not an isolated intervention. It's part and parcel of a family intervention. So why I'm raising this is parenting is a big part of our therapeutic intervention that's provided for minors. So when couples go through a marital breakdown, parents would consider bringing their children in for play therapy to check their ability to adjust, or if there's any behavioral issues. And what we require as people providing those services is the commitment of both parents in this family intervention. And again, I'm going to emphasize the interests of the child. So why I'm saying this is that it's not meant to alienate anyone. So when we work with children, it's important to remember that this service is available to both mum and dad. And when both parents participate in that process, it's most effective for the child's development as well as co-parents working together for the common objective and the common goal of raising healthy children, whether you're single or you're married. So that is supposed to be, it's not supposed to be something difficult. It's intended to be a support structure for both parents, including men. And again, I think the challenge around availability in the week or leaving work. So yes, does have some logistical challenges again, but it is an important support structure that people can use, that parents can use, again, for mums and dads. And we do require both parents. It makes it very, very hard when we have to do counseling for children where one parent is opposed to the process or doesn't want to participate in it. And I think also it comes with a lack of understanding as to where it fits in, and also the perception. So if the perception of counseling or the play therapy is negative, but where it's looked at as a positive, and I know that some people might think, but I don't need parenting because I'm not a bad parent. It's not about being a bad parent. Sometimes it's okay to say, okay, things have changed. There's adjustments that need to be made for everybody. And if it's looked at as a support structure and a form of support where we can explore dynamics and find positive and creative ways to get around those, then that's helpful. And I think that it's something that needs to be used more and also needs to be committed to more. So it's not just an issue of I'm taking my child for play therapy to discredit the other parent. It's not a competition. It shouldn't be a competition. And this is why we encourage parents to work together. We're willing to accommodate different needs to a certain extent, but at some point they need to come together and work together. And like I said, it shouldn't be a tug of war. And so that understanding needs to be created. So I think when that happens, a lot of you can see positive shifts in the other things. So like if I'm a parent and I know that I have a responsibility to my child, whether it's during the time that I have my child, or where I need to make a financial contribution in the form and I remember that with the maintenance court as well, because it's not an Islamic country, mums also may need to contribute financially if she's employed. So, it is something that we can work together on. So, together with the parenting plan, together with play therapy and parenting sessions, together with family support, support groups, unfortunately, are not as, again, the expectation that men or usually it's the common thing that most men are in mainstream employment, but where men are available to attend support groups. And the Islamic Care Line is also a community-based organization. So we try to accommodate the different needs of community members and of families in particular. So if there are men out there who feel like, what, we want to initiate a support group, even in the Muslim community, and you raise it and we have a group of men, we would be very, very happy to start a support group. We've had challenges around that, around men or attendance of support groups. And also for the new year, I might also mention that the support groups is big on our agenda, especially online support groups for various social dynamics. So if anyone is interested or they would like to initiate a group, they're more than welcome to do so. And that includes men. So even if we need to look at male facilitators to start up those groups, that's definitely an option. So yes, so support groups, counseling, even supportive counseling on a one-on-one basis. So where there's marital breakdown or individual counseling for your emotional adjustment, and that applies to men as well, both men and women. So men are not necessarily excluded from all of these support structures. It's just that I think with the current dynamics and some of the challenges that I've mentioned during the program, maybe there's perhaps less use of those support structures and services.
Mm-hmm. All right. With only 2 minutes left, how can the community be more involved? Because, we know that it takes a village to raise a child, and we would like to help the men, the single fathers, as well as the single mothers to raise their children to become better people and contribute positively to the society.
Okay, so I think again, I'm going to raise the issue of family support. I always believe, even when we do marital, I think how the family perceives even a family breakdown is important, and I think we need to help people. It's not about us judging who's right and who's wrong and who's innocent and who's not. So I think if we can dismiss our judgments for a while and support people through their difficult times, that will be so it's basically a mind shift and attitude shift. Also, if maybe perhaps employers to be a little bit more supportive of even single dads. I think also if we dismiss of some of our gender stereotypes around what's gender specific and what men should be doing and what women should be doing. Because I won't lie to you, I've seen some men very, very successfully raise daughters. So from dressing them and buying their clothes and putting for them clips and that kind of thing, so it doesn't need to be difficult. I think we need to start changing our perception. So like I said, from employers' point of view, to be a little bit more supportive and understanding of the fact that someone's a single father and not just, only for single moms. And then also, I think the biggest shift would also be from fathers themselves and from dads themselves to be a little bit more open to those support structures and to reach out for help and to ask for help when they need it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. So like I said, and I can speak on behalf of the Islamic Care line, where we are willing to accommodate and allow, and even the Jamiat Ulama South Africa based in Fortsburg as well. So if there are men who have specific needs and where they want to raise some of their challenges as single fathers, and if there's any way we can accommodate and put into place programs for them, alhamdulillah, we would be all too happy to do that.
All right. Shukran so much for your time, Anisa, and for sharing us that information while we wrap up with the Movember. Unfortunately, time is not on our side, but shukran once again and have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah to you, Sister Maryam. I look forward to our next program, and all the listeners out there, keep us in your special du'as and enjoy the rest of your day, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Anisa Moosa, Chief Social Worker at Islamic Care Line, taking us through support for single fathers and single fatherhood as we wrap up Movember. And we are also wrapping up today's show. If you have any comments, questions, queries, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section or send them to us on WhatsApp on 061 766 0355. And I will be back next week from 11 to 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Wednesdays right here on Salam Media. But tomorrow you will be with Nafisa Dengo, same time, same place. So from myself, Maryam Mkwanda, and the Salam Media team, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.